We're now moving on to the 10-minute rule motion on bus services consultation. Mr. Dean Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to require consultation of bus users before changes are made to bus services and for connected purposes. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, imagine this: a hard-working member of the public, perhaps working night shifts, where their only means of getting to work is by bus. Night after night, waiting in the dark, perhaps sometimes in the cold and the rain and cold weather, simply wanting to get to work, and through no fault of their own, find out the bus needed to get to work on time has been changed, giving them an impossible choice of being late to work, arriving impossibly early, or, even worse, making it near impossible to get to work at all. Or perhaps a pensioner, living alone at home, where the bus is a lifeline to visit friends and family, for them to attend doctors and hospital appointments, and where the bus is their transport to living a full life, not just for travelling. But when their local bus timetable changes, skipping the nearby bus stops, meaning they can no longer access them, suddenly, through no fault of their own, they find themselves cut off from the real world and their support network. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, behind every bus timetable change, there will often be passengers who just want to live their lives. Individuals who find themselves reliant on a service they have little or no say in. And I'm sure we would all agree, buses are an important part of all of our communities. In fact, buses are used for twice as many journeys as trains, and from thousands more stopping places across the country. And according to the National Annual Bus Stats 2022, the number of local bus passenger journeys in England alone was 2.8 billion in 2021 and 2022. Taking the bus instead of a car twice each month would reduce emissions by 15.8 million tonnes of CO2 by 2050, according to the Better Transport campaign. So it's good for the environment too. And I also read a statistic recently, I think it was on the NHS England website, that a survey of NHS trusts indicated that around 7.8 million appointments a year and around 650,000 a month were missed, citing transport issues, which I'm sure some of those would be related to buses. Now, buses are without a doubt the most used form of public transport. They carry millions of people each year and are a vital public transport link for individuals, for the economy and for people's health and for the environment. Yet despite their importance, it is hard to believe that when timetables are changed, there's no official requirement to directly engage or consult with passengers of a bus when its timetables are being considered for change. And by bus passengers, I mean the people who use the actual bus. Those who get on it every day to get to work, to get to their appointments, to see their friends, to see their family. People are more than just numbers. They have hospital appointments, they have jobs to go to, they have lives to live, yet they do not currently need to be asked about the services that they use. Now, there are legal requirements for official organisations to be asked. For example, in England, bus operators are required to give a statutory notice period of 70 days for registrations, variations and cancellations in relation to community bus services, made up of 28 days' notice to the local authority and 42 days' notice to the Traffic Commissioner. And many do consult and reach out to passengers, but they don't have to. And there's no legal requirement for bus operators to inform passengers of the changes until the cancel registration has been processed. This bill seeks to address this giant pothole of an oversight and give bus passengers a voice in the process. Now, before I go into the proposal of this bill, I should clarify that I really welcome the work of government to support buses, and I see the Minister for Buses on front bench, and I appreciate the time he has spent to meet with me to discuss this. The National Bus Better Strategy 2021 has aimed to address long-term decline in bus services and to create a bus network fit for the future. And as I understand it, the strategy has been backed by £3 billion, with £1.4 billion being allocated already. And within my own county of Hertfordshire, we have received £29.7 million for the Bus Service Improvement Plan. There is much more I could say about this fantastic work that government is doing to invest in buses and make sure that the network is fit for the future. But it is clear that investment and the national strategy, whilst it's there, the national strategy is there. My proposal today is simply to ensure that the users of those buses, who rely on these vital services, that will be supported by this fantastic government spend, are part of the journey to make decisions. Now, my proposal is a very simple one: to implement a legal requirement or guidance for all companies, commercial or public, who provide a public bus service, to ensure users of the bus service are given an opportunity to feed into a consultation before services are changed or cancelled. So if a service is due to be changed or cancelled, that they ensure every effort is made to inform the impacted bus users through signage, ideally on the bus itself, and at bus stops and shelters, and of course through the usual online channels and community engagement. Now, I do want to counter some criticism I've had of the proposal due to a lack of understanding of my request. What I am not proposing is that if a bus service has a handful of passengers and is simply not viable at all, even with financial support, that the bus passengers should somehow be able to stop the timetable from changing. If that were the proposal, I think it would be a fair criticism. But I'm not saying this. I'm simply asking that the voices of passengers are heard in the process and are properly considered as part of the decision-making process. My experience of bus passengers, many of which I have met in my own constituency of Watford as part of outreach and bus community engagement, is that they are pragmatic and realistic about the challenges. They also often have very smart and practical ideas and solutions to solving issues with timetables, but they often feel like they are just numbers on a spreadsheet in an office and are never asked until it's too late. And those paying customers, and they are paying customers, are using a service that they rely upon. I just want to simply give them a voice in that process, and not to have decisions imposed upon them without A, being aware that they're coming, B, being able to have a say in it, and C, making sure that they're not just simply told after the fact. And as we all know, as much as we'd like to believe that when timetables are changed that everyone knows instantly, often that isn't the case. And so often people will be turning up, hoping their bus is going to come, and it may not arrive because the timetable has changed. This would help address that. Now, Deputy Speaker, I should say this bill feels quite personal to me. I confess I didn't properly learn to drive until my late 20s. Although I'm proud to live in my constituency of Watford and have lived there since I was elected, I've been a resident in Hertfordshire for over 20 years, and I originally grew up in the West Midlands. For many years I worked at Birmingham Airport and was reliant on buses to get to work, sometimes 6 a.m. shifts to go and be a cleaner, sometimes 10 p.m. shifts to do night shifts patrolling car parks. I wasn't that threatening, I should say, and often 12-hour shifts outside of the usual 9 to 5. So I've been the person waiting at a bus stop in the dark. I've been the person praying that the bus is going to arrive soon so I'm not late and get into trouble. I've been the person hoping the timetable doesn't change to make it impossible for me to earn some money. I know what it's like to be reliant on public transport, and I also know how wonderful it can be. I know that it can transform lives. Buses can transport us to live our lives, but also it can be a lifeline for hard-working people to go out and meet friends and family, but also to get to their jobs. So buses really are something special, and I know that the government is doing all it can to protect them as part of our communities, to help protect our environment and ensure patients get to their appointments on time. And they are also needed to ensure hard-working British people can get to work, which they do on a daily basis. So in conclusion, Mr Deputy Speaker, with this bill, I'm asking colleagues across the House to support this. I'm asking them not to ring the division bell today, and for the government to get on board with this bus bill and issue clearer guidance so bus passengers across the country are part of the journey when timetable changes are being decided. Thank you.
Very much. This would normally be the opportunity for somebody to oppose the 10-minute rule motion, but I've been given no notification that anybody wishes to do so, and I see nobody wishing to do so, so I'll pose the question. And the question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As many of that have been say aye. Aye. On the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Who will prepare and bring in the bill?
Mr Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Jack Brereton, Marco Longhi, Jason McCartney, Elliot Colburn, Andy Carter, Andrew Jones, Dr Lisa Cameron, Anthony Higginbotham, Jim Shannon, Joe Gideon, Jonathan Gullis and myself, Mr Speaker.
Mr Dean Russell.
Bus Services Consultation Bill.
Second reading what day?
November 24th.
November the 24th. Thank you very much.